Fire Emblem characters sometimes have absolute banger reasons to join the Lord's army. Jafar betrays the man who raised him so he could keep protecting Nino, and we got some serious contention from Hector because of it. Dusel, the once proud general of Grotto, chose to side with Ephraim to help him fight against the country whose morals have gone south. Sylvain will leave the Blue Lions if you're playing as female Byleth. Wait, scratch that last one. Oh, no. Looks like there's actually a handful of hilariously dumb recruitments that we need to go over once again. If you haven't seen the last video, this video goes over a handful of absolutely silly recruitments scattered throughout the Fire Emblem series, from simping over the one they love, or to joining an international conflict out of boredom and curiosity. This video does much of the same, with some added criteria though, like really goofy, memorable, and obtuse recruitment requirements. Let's begin. Last time we started with the Yggdrasil era, and this time we're going to be starting with the Tellius saga. Starting off with Meg. Meg. Oftentimes it is the gentleman who swoons over the lady and is willing to put their lives on the line for the one they love. I mean, that was kind of the theme for the last video. And while Meg does follow suit, she is nonetheless unique in her situation with her knight in shining armor, or in this case, her swordsman. Zehark, one of my personal favorites in the Tellius saga, watch my support science here by the way, was a good friend of Braum, her dad. Zehark was always encouraging to him, saying that he's a strong guy and father figure, calling him the perfect daddy. These two left a great impression on one another. In fact, in their A support, Braum is ecstatic to try to persuade Zehark to marry his eldest daughter. 3 years later, Meg is literally by herself walking from Crimea through a desert in a full set of armor hoping to find him. She has literally no leads as to where to look. All she knows is that her dad really liked him, and that her eldest sister is already married, leaving her to wed the man himself. She is basically adopted by Micaiah and Soth and becomes a member of the Dawn Brigade afterwards. In the next base conversation, where Zehark is finally recruited to the brigade, Meg emerges. They introduce themselves, and Zehark is being very polite, and Meg is shyly approaching the big question. Yes, well, it's good to hear he's staying busy. Braum, huh? Wow, brings back memories. Well, if you're his daughter, I'll do whatever I can to help you. You said you were looking for somebody. Who is this person? Well, he's my fiancé. How could any guy leave a girl like you? What's this lucky guy's name? What's he like? Well, he's standing right in front of me. Meg, look, this is kind of crazy. Zehark, I'm sure I still have a lot to learn, but after meeting you, I just know we'll live happily ever after. Meg, I need you to listen very closely. Meg kind of follows this delusional lover trope. Malicia thought that she was going to wed Marth after he rescued her. Johann seems really fixated on marrying Larce/Radney. And here, Meg joins the army, meets Zehark, and immediately starts talking about how inexperienced she is, but how great a wife she can be. And she also calls Zehark Pookums. Amazing. I'm pretty shocked that Braum let her youngest daughter go to seek Zehark. What was his direction? Just go to Dain and maybe you'll find him. Like, would she just die if it weren't for Micaiah and Soth sheltering her? I don't know. Nyx. Nyx, one of my personal favorites in Fates. I personally found her support conversations to be great, and while I have no idea if my Nyx support science has aged well, whenever I do think about her and her conversations with Xander and Kaze, I remember enjoying that old soul. She reminds me of Nime, my FE6 favorite. Now, remembering Nyx's recruitment in Conquest was always pretty negative. She came off with quite the attitude problem when in reality she was actually much nicer in her conversations. It wouldn't fit the criteria of this video because at worst it's just sort of out of character for her. But her revelation recruitment? Now that is where the joke is. And unfortunately, she's the punchline. The context is that Nyx is trying to find solitude from society. She wants to be left alone because she's become antisocial by being rejected by her village and is mainly focused on finding a cure for her eternal youth. Now remember that everyone makes a big deal about this temple, home to the Rainbow Sage. It's supposed to be this incredibly steep and life-threatening walk up a mountain. Well, Nyx, in the body of a child, scales it no problem. I mean, as far as solitude goes, I guess you'll find it here. The only thing that's here is a temple. She's not even here to ask the Rainbow Sage advice on how to reverse the curse. Nyx, I love you, girl. I really do. But like, you see Shura over there? He was literally on a mission in Revelation, the exact same chapter that you're in right now, to seek advice or power from him. Why couldn't you just say that instead of this? Why are there so many guards here? So annoying. I just want to avoid the war, but there are soldiers everywhere. I'll just wait patiently until no one is looking, and then escape. All I want is to live my life in solitude. Nyx appears on turn 3. Who are you even talking about? Just turn around, Nyx. There's nowhere to sneak or nobody to sneak by. Just turn back from where you came and scale back down the mountain. So narratively, this is a really silly reason for Nyx to be here, but the biggest gag of all are her base stats. I don't know if the Revelation designers just forgot to scale her up, but her stats are identical to her bases in chapter 9 of Conquest. And you know what's even worse? Shura's bases are the same in chapter 22 of Birthright. Revelation balance, everybody. She's awful. I'm currently fighting an Armor Knight on casual mode, and she can't do anything to it. I'm so sorry for what they did to you. You don't deserve this. Maybe the thing you really should have sought after at the temple wasn't solitude. It was actual unit balance. Shanam. Oh, do I love these kinds of characters. Shanam is an imposter posing as Shannon, the Prince of Isaac, and reaping the benefits just because they happen to look the same. When Tara is getting invaded, the cowardly swordsman tried to make an escape, only to be caught leaving by Homer, a bard who befriended him during his stay in the city. It is here where Shanam gets outed as a fraud, leading him to admit his real name, which Homer remarks is ironically close to the real thing. Before he leaves, he says that maybe they'll meet again someday. Well, it turns out they do. 2 chapters later in 16b, Shanam is found dead broke and fighting as a mercenary for the Loftus sect. I guess he really gave up the act, unless the sect thinks they're fighting alongside the Prince of Isaac. Let's remember that Homer is only fighting with Leaf because he made Nana cry and felt bad. And here, Shanam begs Homer to let him join up by his side. Homer doesn't really give a damn whether he does or doesn't. And voila, Shanam, the awful Shannon imposter, in all his bargain skill glory, is part of the team. I don't know if it was intentional, but I find it hilarious how Shanam's personal skill is bargain. Almost as if to say, Shanam is a bargain, or a bootleg version of Shannon. The stats certainly say as much. Homer has absolutely no authority to allow Shanam into the army, and it doesn't really sound like he even cares anyway. He just lets him fight beside him. There is absolutely no follow-up with Leaf or August either. He's just here, on the team, completely wasting precious resources like rations and shelter. Okay, I take that back slightly, because in the chapter just before this one, his impression of Shannon is so good that it fools Marita into thinking it's really him. She approaches the fraud and begs him to teach her Astra. Can you guess what happens next? He pulls it off. He completely bullshits his way and unintentionally teaches Marita the Astra technique. Yes, this is real. He rhymes off some vague Mr. Miyagi flowery speech about how the body and mind must be as one, and moments later, after a few attempts, Marita just figures it out. Then he pieces the hell out of that situation, only to be found by Homer and begging to join alongside him. So does Marita just assume that Shannon is with them now? We'll never find out. Sure, Shannon isn't the only character in FE5 to not get recruited directly by Leaf, but usually those recruitments are a lot more urgent than just, I don't care either way, man. If anyone actually has unironically used Shannon in a playthrough, let me know. I'm genuinely curious. I want to talk about easily the most difficult, complicated, and obtuse recruitment requirement in Fire Emblem history. Xavier from Thracia 776. Now, as far as hard recruitments go, there were some candidates, unsurprisingly from Kaga, like Misha and Hannibal. But hands down, without question, Xavier is the most difficult. Xavier is a general in Chapter 18 who is filled with guilt over fighting the Liberation Army even though it's against Leaf. Taunted by Gustav regarding this guilt between loyalty to country versus liege, he chooses to remain an enemy. Upon hearing this, Leaf goes on Mission Impossible, to guide the 8 family member NPCs of the 8 enemy lieutenants serving Xavier through enemy lines, to get them to talk to each other and then to talk to Xavier, showing him so he can convince him to leave Gustav behind and to join him instead. Now let me preface this by saying that this is coming from a Thracia 776 player who did this blind. I'm sure the Kaga and FE5 elite tier players have come up with big brain sleep sword techniques to recruit Xavier as quickly and as painlessly as possible. In fact, I know they already have. But consider for a moment, being a normie FE5 player, like the rest of us. You have 8 NPCs whose AI is set to rush to the 8 Leonster lieutenants once those 2 doors open and they have a path to get there. Likewise, once those doors open, the lieutenants will start moving too, alongside the Frigga generals that are peppered into it. Let's say you even thought ahead and didn't open the rightmost door to the throne room, and you placed a unit on the leftmost stairs to block reinforcements. But doing this blind? That's about the most you can do. While the goal is get the NPCs to their lieutenants, and even when you select the NPCs they will show you who they need to talk to, and even though the lieutenants will not attack any green unit, it's pretty easy to accidentally choke point yourself into this left corridor. If you block the top left stairs, the generals might just go that direction as well. And if one single lieutenant dies before they are spoken to, you cannot recruit Xavier. This can lead to a long chapter of a war of attrition, sometimes barely doing anything just to see how the AI will play out, employing sleep swords, sleep staffs, and potentially a ton of rescuing and dropping off NPCs who have already spoken to their designated person just to get them out of the way. Stuff can certainly go wrong, especially on turn 20, when instead of the shaman spawning with rewarp, they have freaking Fenrir, a siege tome that can just end an attempt right there. You are 20 turns in, and the shaman just decides to Fenrir Nira, and goodbye run, have a fun restart, wasting so much time. Oh my Naga, Kaga, why would you do this to your players who just want to recruit this guy? Why are you so cruel? It just takes a long time, and there's a narrow margin of error. Going in blind or even semi-informed may not prepare you for the unfortunate choke points, AI shenanigans, enemy spawns getting the better of you. Oh man. It's hilarious because this chapter is a total cakewalk if you ignore recruiting him, but it becomes potentially brutal if you actually go through with Leaf's plan. Is Xavier worth the trouble even? Sure. He's not a bad character. He's got good weapon ranks, a leadership star, and several skills that altogether make him useful. But you'll have to choose for yourself whether you want to go through the struggle or not. Oof. Well, that will do it for the second and probably final part of this topic. I can think of a few other interesting and unique ones, but they certainly aren't in the WTF/silly tier as the ones mentioned above. So, as a spoiler, the next character video is going to be all about the more expensive recruitments in the series. What does that mean? I suppose you'll find out soon enough. Thank you for reaching to the end of this video, and if you liked it, please leave a like and comment down below. And if you really liked it and you want to support this channel, please subscribe and even click the bell. I'm trying to get to 75,000 subscribers before the new year, and I'm almost there. I would really appreciate it. It would really show me that these are the types of videos that you guys want to see. Anyways, hope you have a good weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.